Hello out there. Got our winner today. Last second choice here. We're on the air. I just ran up and down the stairs as fast as I could. I realized I forgot something here. Forgot my cold card. It's Tuesday. We're doing episode number 3 today of our multi-generational wealth series, which we're going to need a cold card for this one. So, welcome back. It is Tuesday. It is also known as Tunesday. Officially, I'm going to start playing songs at the start of every Tuesday show. It's my new plan. So last week we had, this is our 3rd week in a row now of music. I think last week we had God Bless the USA by our buddy, I'm out of breath, Lee Greenwood. And this one was Kid Rock, American Rock and Roll. I got my Kid Rock shirt on today even too. It kind of worked out nice. But that was kind of like the song of the election this year. It was a pretty powerful American, moving. You know, they had voices in the background. They had some clips. That was my favorite video of the whole election, was that the one with that song in the background. We watched it a couple times on the show. We liked it so much. But anyways, that's where we're at today. So what I'm going to do actually for the Tunesday, because YouTube automatically demonetizes any songs, obviously, fucking YouTube. But so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take, like, you know, the jukeboxes at the restaurants and clubs and, you know, lounges, pubs. You can basically pay, you know, 25 cents, $1 to request the next song. But the cool thing is you could get bumped. So what I'm going to start doing, actually, this is the first announcement of this, but I mean, I just think it'll be something cool to do every Tuesday morning, something to look forward to, something different. But any amount, this is how we're going to do it. So we're going to use boosts. We're going to use Zap Stream. We're going to use Zaps on Nostr, or just Zaps in general. And so if you want to request a song for next Tuesday, every Tuesday we're going to do a music video at the start of the show. So you can say, hey, here's 1,000 sats. This is my request. And I'll add it to the list, and there'll just be a long running list. So if you say do 5 sats and there's 50 people who do more than that, yours will be waiting for a while. Exact same as like the restaurant or the jukeboxes. And somebody comes in with 50,000 sats and say, hey, I want Elvis Presley this week. Okay, well, they're at the front. So that's what we're going to start doing. It'll probably take a little while to catch on and for, you know, people to realize what's happening here. But if I know the people in this chat, they like being early to things, early adopters kind of people. So that's what you got. You want to request the next tune for next Tuesday show, Tuesdays. Then you can use a boost on Fountain. You can send a Zap in here. You can send a Zap on Nostr, but you have to make sure you say, like, this is the song. Because if you just send a Zap, I don't know what it's for, right? So you have to find a way to include your note or your memo in there with your song. But look at this. We got, Jason says RBF, exactly. Replaced by fee. You request a song and Joey outbids you, well, you got to bump up your fee. I like it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I mean, everybody has their like favorite songs that they want to share. It's how jukeboxes have made a living in our history, right? Everyone wants to play their song. So we're going to sacrifice the monetization for the Tuesday shows, but hopefully it'll come in the form of Zaps. I like the idea personally. And I might Zap too. If somebody Zaps a song that I don't like, or I want to play my song, I'm going to have to Zap too. We're going to have a running list here. Anyways, let's start with this comment today. This is going to be our winner of the 88 sats for today from Joey. Bitcoin rocks. Whale Zap me. 21,000 sats for the Bitcoin sign at the county tax collector. 21,000 twice. Good call on the signs, Jor. I'm getting more. I mean, why would you not? This is the crazy thing too. And I saw somebody on there on Noster who has been just like blowing up the Bitcoin rock stuff, like stickers, signs, everything, every day, 100 posts. And I'm just like, okay, that's probably a little bit too far. But I was also thinking, like, if you understand what's happening here, they're paying 21,000 sats for you to go and put a yard sign in the ground. Do you know how much those 21 sats are going to be worth? There, even today, you go do that. That's $21 worth of purchasing power today. But like, if you did that, say, 10 times a week, you could almost make that your full-time job, being a Bitcoin promoter. Kind of wild. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be like abuse things here, but I don't know. Except there'll be zaps on top. Okay. So I got to zap Joey here. Joey, what's your Bitcoin Lightning address? Throw it in the chat. I feel like you're on Nostra. I feel like I probably have it, but there's way too much stuff for me to keep track of here. Let me update my Zap stream today. What do we got? The biggest single day in Bitcoin history. What's that all about? It was. Did you guys know that yesterday? I didn't know that till this morning. Yesterday was the biggest single day in Bitcoin's 16-year history. All right, Zap stream is updated. We got Letha over there. We got Duncan. We got my Pat the Fire zapped 85 sats. GG. What does GG mean? Good game? What does GG mean? Joey, throw your URL in the chat there. Rick, good morning, my friend. Good to see you. Remember to smash the like. Actually, yesterday we hit 100 likes on the show for the first time ever. I think the previous all-time high for likes on the show was like 80, 79, 80. Yesterday we hit 100. Pretty good. Pretty good. All-time highs everywhere. Letha says good going. I don't know. Is that what that means? Zapstream. All the nerds are over in Zapstream. What does GG stand for? Nerds are the people you want to hang out with, though. That's for sure. Okay, we got 34 people in here. We got 14 likes. We're definitely not going to hit hundo with that kind of pace today. But I mean, we gotta take it easy a bit. We can't just go full steam every day here. We're not Bitcoin. So Bitcoin every day. I think I did it twice on the show yesterday. Every time there's a new like milestone of $1,000 in Bitcoin, I send out a post on Noster with like 80. I don't know what happened there. 88,000. That was a big one yesterday for the channel. But 88,000 Bitcoin, and then a bunch of lightning bolts, and then Thunderstruck. I don't know if this will pass with the Bitcoin community as a whole, but I think Thunderstruck should be the song of this bull run. There's nothing like AC/DC to get you going, but Thunderstruck, it's got to be the one, and it's so much better than Creed or whatever the hell they were trying to do. I think that's why the last bull run was stifled, because of Creed higher. Horrible song. Okay, well, I got a couple of different housekeeping things here that I want to talk about before we dive into things here. Again, 100 likes yesterday. I think it was actually 102. So I wanted to say thanks for everybody for showing up, for helping to support the channel. We're going to hit 5,000 subscribers, I think, today, which has been like a week and a half. We've hit 1,000 more subscribers. So we're on a pretty good pace right now. I would like to get to 10,000 by the end of 2024. I think that's wishing a little bit, but whatever. If the crazy thing to me is like 55 or 57% of people who watch this channel, I don't know about the lives, but the videos and everything else, are not subscribers. So there's actually more people who watch all these videos that don't subscribe compared to those who do watch them and are subscribed. It's kind of crazy to me. But so anyways, I want to say thanks for that. That was a big day. 100 likes yesterday, all-time high. I also wanted to mention this because I like just telling you guys what I'm up to. But I sold Doge, all my Doge yesterday. Actually, it was this morning before the show. I sold all my Doge. I had a ton. And this was back in 2019, 2020. Like, I'm talking hundreds of thousands or millions of Doge. Sold it, bought a bunch of Bitcoin. Well, not a bunch. I sold it. I kind of messed up a lot of trades in my life, but including this one. But I sold them today. I sold all my Dogecoin for Bitcoin. I sold a bunch of my other crypto that I had yesterday for Bitcoin. I don't know. This is kind of my logic on it. I know Bitcoin's going to outperform everything. There might be days where Doge outperforms Bitcoin. There might even be weeks. But I know over the long term, like with a very long, long view here, and I don't want to spend every day, every hour looking at charts, trying to find the best time to trade. I know that Bitcoin's going to outperform everything. Do I think that Dogecoin will be around in a year, 5 years, 10 years? Yes, I do. Do I think people are going to be using it? Yes, I do. But I think that there's a difference there between Dogecoin and Bitcoin. I can always buy more Dogecoin if I need to. I probably will. I'll probably try to get the same amount back in the future. But I just don't think anything's going to outperform Bitcoin. That's Doge, especially Ethereum. That includes Solana. That includes every other crypto. Nothing's going to come close to Bitcoin this cycle. There's just so much momentum for Bitcoin. There's so much capital flowing into Bitcoin. There's so much investment, not like, money, but like actually people building, companies paying to build in Bitcoin. There's so much of it. Nothing's even going to come close to it. So my plan here is just to sell everything else for Bitcoin. And then as I need to, if I need to, I can always swap it later for whatever I need. If I want 1,000 Doge, let's say that, this is just an example. Let's say that in 5 years from now, Dogecoin becomes like a tipping currency. And I can see this happening actually, because it's very fast. It works on the same thing as Bitcoin. I forget what the word I'm looking for here, but it's honestly a solid cryptocurrency. It has a very strong community, very strong brand recognition. So, in a couple of years, if this is something that people are using for tips for, Ubers, for restaurants, for the bar, whatever, I can always trade back into it. I can always get more. And I feel like because Bitcoin's going to go up so much more than Dogecoin, I'm going to get way more Doge at that point. But I don't need it today. It's not a place to store your wealth. Bitcoin is the place to store your wealth. And as these other cryptos, as you need them, that's when you can trade into them. That's kind of my altcoin logic. And I'm living it too. So I'm not just pretending. I'm not a pretender, Good game. That's what it means. Good game. All right. What game though? I thought it was a good game, but like what game are we playing? Ahsoka, good morning. Go. Good game. Ahsoka zapped 121 sats. Thank you. Duncan zapped 420. Thank you. Hey, people over in Zapstream, you guys can be the first batch here to request a song. So My Path to Fire, Letha, Ahsoka, Duncan, if you guys have a song that you want to hear, you can be the first one. And you might get outbid, but people might forget too. So that's my suggestion to you today is request a song, throw a little zap in there. It could be any amount, but it's similar to the Jukebox. I like the idea. I'm a little bit biased, obviously, but I like it. I like the idea. Okay, let me send this off. Actually, let's get to the mempool. I got a couple different things to talk about here. Okay, my path to fire says good game that you in Bitcoin. Gotcha. Good game. Good game. Good game. That's what we used to say, shaking hands after hockey. Good game. Okay, where the hell are we here, Mempool? Bitcoin crashed, did it? Bitcoin, let me guess, Bitcoin crashed all the way down to 85. Yeah. All the way down to 85,000 bucks. Whoa. Huge crash. All right, let's get to the mempool here. See what's going on. So we are currently sitting at block height. Oh, we crossed a new chasm here. Look at that. 870,005 blocks. So since January 3rd, 2009, there's been 870,005 blocks mined. It's too bad you guys weren't at the Regina meetup, Bitcoin meetup last week, because that was one of the questions. You guys would have known it. The question was, the trivia that they did was, one of the questions was, when was the Genesis block in Bitcoin? Block number 1. Was it block number 1 or block 0? I don't know. Anyways, the Genesis block. I think it was actually block 0. January 3rd, 2009. If you guys are watchers of the show, you would have known the answer to that. I should do that trivia here. We should do a trivia one day. And whoever gets the answer first will win sats. I kind of like that. I'll just use the exact same questions that they had. Okay. We weren't done here. Sorry about that. So Antpool won the last 2, followed by Secpool. We are ahead again. Yesterday we were a little bit behind, but we've caught back up and we're actually ahead. 5 blocks ahead. Difficulty adjustment. And if you don't know, if you're somebody who's new into Bitcoin, I would take some time and look into the difficulty adjustment, because that is truly what makes Bitcoin, the difficulty adjustment. It's a big part of it. It helps the blocks come in good pace. It means that can be a consensus between everybody running a Bitcoin node, because if these blocks started coming in too fast, and we wouldn't be able to reach a consensus between saying, yes, this ledger is right, this ledger is right. Everybody running a Bitcoin node agrees. That's why it's 10 minutes long. And if we didn't have this difficulty adjustment, these blocks could be coming in way faster and we wouldn't be able to get to consensus. And that's a problem with a bunch of altcoins, is that they don't have this same difficulty adjustment. So again, if you are somebody who's interested in just learning a little bit more, having conviction, educating yourself, and the reason I say that is because most people very much underestimate how valuable this stuff is, this knowledge is. There's going to be millions of companies around the world. And every single one of those companies is going to be holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Every single one of them. It'll take some time, but at the end of this thing, every single company is going to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And if you can be there, they're all going to be looking for like the head of Bitcoin strategy and somebody look after their Bitcoin. There's going to be somebody to manage their Bitcoin. There's going to be somebody to find opportunities, things they can do with their Bitcoin, how to transact with it. You know, do they take out a loan? Do they sell some Bitcoin? Every company on earth is going to need that. So anyways, check out the mempool.space, check out the difficulty adjustment. Just familiarize yourself. Look at what's going on here. It's, the more you know, the more your conviction is, the better you're going to be. Plus, if you are interested in working in Bitcoin one day, it's this stuff's so incredibly valuable. Okay, well, look at this. We have our very first request. I'm going to have to start a spreadsheet here and keep track of this. Like, I'm going to call it the Jukebox spreadsheet. So we got my path to fire. He's got 85 sats. We'll give him, he didn't mention it with the Zap, but we'll give him a break here. And he wants new one from Lil Bubble. All right. Well, if nobody bids higher than 85 sats, my path to fire, we're going to be listening to Lil Bubble next week. What's the song called, though? Uh-oh. What did I do? What happened here? Okay. By the way, if you're watching this on the YouTube, we're happy to have you here, but we prefer if you would be in the Zap stream. That's where the real folks are, the real OGs. And it's not working for me, so maybe don't bother today. Okay, there we go. We got 10 people over there. I don't know what he's even trying to do there. Anyways, let's get back to things here. Okay, metrics. Sorry, folks. A little bit of messing around here. But, all right, Joey's giving his 88 sats to Arnie. Attaboy. Let me zap that right now before I forget, because those are for Arnie. Rob says, good morning, all. So this must have been a different Rob yesterday in the chat. Somebody was asking about setting up self-custody options. Anyways, Rob says, hey, Joy, I received my cold card and downloaded all the necessary wallets. We'll be setting up a meeting soon. Thanks for all the help so far. Cheers, Rob. By the way, if you are the blog that I wrote, I took a couple of days off last week because I was gone. There was just too much going on. But I got back to the daily Bitcoin journal today, and I was talking about Bitcoin security and how important it is. And I compared it to a bank. Because if you think about think about a bank. What are they protecting? Banks are protecting some physical cash, probably in the vault, but they're mostly protecting data. That's the one thing that the banks are mostly looking after. And think about how much time, energy, money, resources are spent protecting that data. And I said, Bitcoiners, we like to think of ourselves like we are our own bank. Like that's a big phrase in Bitcoin, be your own bank. But I think people underestimate the amount of responsibility that actually comes with that, because it sounds great in theory, right? You don't pay any fees. You don't have to wait, talk to customer service. There's nobody to wait in line for. There's no fees. You don't have to ask anybody permission for it. It's great. But just like everything in life, there's trade-offs. So you have to, it sounds great, but it's also a lot of responsibility you got to take on. And so kind of my point was, like I said, and this is what I think everybody should be taking the perspective of. You should be protecting your Bitcoin just like a bank protects their data, except I would say more. Because think about what the banks have. They have security cameras, they have security staff, they have Brinks trucks, they have guns, they have batons, they have everything, vaults. What do you have for your Bitcoin? Do you have any of that? And I would argue that you should actually have more security for your Bitcoin than a bank has. Why? Well, because first of all, the banks have insurance. You don't. Bitcoin doesn't have insurance. The banks are looking after somebody else's money. You're looking after your money. And the banks are protecting fake money, money that can be printed. You are protecting real money, money that cannot be printed. So it's something that you have to take seriously. You have to invest in this stuff. And that includes investment in time, investment in money, and maybe both. But the investment required is the same. Some of it's just going to be, you're going to have to spend more time learning. And some of it, if you don't have time to learn, you're going to have to hire somebody to help you with it. but you cannot take this stuff lightly. This is one thing throughout this whole course that or throughout my whole channel here, that I really want to get across to people is your sats, no matter what amount you have, are more valuable than you can even imagine. And you have to take this stuff seriously. So Rob, get on you, man. Cold card we're going to be doing after the show today. Second part of the show. We can't be doing 2-hour shows every day here. So I'm going to jump over here right away, actually, and we're going to talk about cold cards. We're going to talk about passphrases. We're going to talk about decoy wallets. And it's part of it. It's very, this course, very small investment, $5 a month. You get like 4 shows for $5. And it could be the difference between you having your Bitcoin in 20 years and not, just by, taking some initiative here. So I look forward to that, Rob. That's what I wanted to tell you. Where are we here? Metrics today. Sorry, I missed a bunch of chats at the start, but we don't got time today. Okay. So the price today, $86,000 US, 86,348 at the time of typing this. 1 year ago, you could have purchased one Bitcoin for $37,039 US dollars. 4 years ago today, you could have purchased a Bitcoin for 26,276 USD. Not bad, eh? Pretty much 4x since 2020. This time. Moscow time. $1 US will get you 1,167 Satoshis. And if you want to be Moscow rich, 1 million sats you need. It's going to cost you 857 US dollars. The price here in Canada today, look at this number. Holy shit, skis. 118,881 Canadian dollars. Moose Jaw time today, 1 Canadian dollar gets you 833 sats. The deal of a lifetime. The deal of a lifetime, the dole. If you want to be Moose Jaw rich here in Canada, you need 1 million sats, and that is going to cost you $1,200 on the dot. Look at that. Is that right? Seems pretty high. Oh, well, we're going to have to trust it. We're going to have to trust that number today. No way to verify. Okay. That's crazy. $118,000. Like up in this time last week, 7 days ago today. Was it the election? Tuesday? Yeah, it was the election day. But we had never hit $100,000 here in Canada. Never. I think we came close back in March this year, but we never hit $100,000. And in less than a week, we went to $120,000. I think it got up to like $122,000 last night. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that by the numbers. We got to do Bitcoin well here too. Let's do the Bitcoin well first. Saw a couple people signed up yesterday. It's good. Get your phones ready. Get your Lightning wallets ready. And if you don't have a Lightning wallet, it's probably something that you should be looking into. It's a big part of your Bitcoin journey. Some Lightning, some Liquid, some eCash, some Layer 1. You got to know the differences between them. And you got to know how to manage them too. Because there's going to be times of high fees, low fees, and you got to be ready for everything. So let's check out the Bitcoin well today. What the hell? Kind of buggy sometimes. Anyways, so get your phones out here. Get your Lightning wallets out. Press the send button. And somebody's going to win some free sats today. Ready? I guess I got to bring it up here. We set. Go. $500 sats. Sad. Sad. But I mean, still, It's still 500 sats, right? And if you're living in the future like us, those 500 sats one day are going to be worth something. Okay, let's make sure that this hasn't been claimed, or has been claimed, I guess I should say. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. So those sats were courtesy of the Bitcoin Well. If you're in Canada, if you're in the US, you make damn sure you get yourself a Bitcoin Well account. Why, you ask? Because you want some. You want some different exchanges. You want different options because you never want to have a single point of failure. And that's what we're going to be talking about today with the passphrase with the decoy wallet. You never want to have a single point of failure. That's a device, wallet, an exchange, anything like that. That applies to every aspect of life. You got a whole bunch of, let's say you got a whole bunch of, I don't know, what could you do? A whole bunch of blog posts or a whole bunch of pictures or videos of your dog or your kid or whoever. You want to keep all those on your phone. What happens if you lose your phone? That's a single point of failure. You want to keep it all on your laptop. What happens if your laptop just decides it doesn't want to work one day? That's a single point of failure. So I love the phrase that says 2 is 1 and 1 is none. If you got one of something, it's basically 0, because if you lose that, it's gone. Everything associated with it is gone. So you want to make sure in life, and in Bitcoin especially, you always have a few different options. And I love using Bitcoin Well as my number one. Bitcoin, or I guess I'm here in Canada, but Bull Bitcoin's up there. ShakePay is okay. But from my user experience, I like Bitcoin Well. And I think most people I've talked to would say the same. So get yourself a Bitcoin Well account, bitcoinwell.com/Jor. Reduce your single point of failure. Get yourself an account. Drop $100 in there, $200. Try it out. Try Lightning, and just see how you like it. Bitcoin's always evolving. You're never going to have one device, one exchange ever. You're always going to find the best option. So to me, it's Bitcoin Well. Ahsoka says, I am back in form this week. Thanks, Bitcoin Well. Thanks, Jor. Ahsoka got her today. There you go. Okay, we got Noah in the chat today. Says, I am moving. See you on the other side of the pond soon. Where are you moving to, Noah? Actually, don't dox yourself. But I hope that everything's good. There we go. This is what we're looking for. Robert, difficulty adjustment. This is good info. Every 2016 blocks, that number backwards is 6102, as in executive order 6102. Very interesting. If you look at some of the details, the subtle details within Bitcoin, like that's why I'm quite certain that it was not one person who just dreamt up Bitcoin. Every single piece of Bitcoin, so well thought out. There's no way that one person, one brain, one mind could come up with this. Never, ever. So I think it was a group. Personally, I think it was the NSA. Because a lot of reasons, but it just makes sense. The one thing I struggle to kind of wrap my brain around is like, if it was the NSA and Bitcoin, ends up being the world reserve currency, and what if they have access to Satoshi's coin still and they moved it? And people, what would people think about that if they said, you know what, we invented this. These are our coins. This is a matter of national security. We need to have these coins. We need to distribute these to all Americans to help get us out of the debt. Or maybe they distribute it to every single person on earth. That might be a good way to do it. Or they burn it. So I think that, if we ever do find out who it was, I hope we don't, but if we do, the one thing that they can do is actually spend the coins. But I think it was the NSA, truly. And most people hear NSA and they're like, oh, fuck, they're doing it to spy on us. They did this on purpose. This is part of their great reset. But it's not, because you got to keep in mind that there's good people in every organization. And you also have to understand that no matter who invented it, there's no way that Bitcoin could be good for a centralized entities. Like there's zero benefit to a centralized entity. Bitcoin doesn't. It's out of their control. It's completely decentralized. The node structure, the consensus, everything. So once you understand that aspect of Bitcoin, is like there's no way that somebody could release this to the world with bad intentions. It's a big part of it. You got to think through these things. Bitcoin is a masterpiece. Absolutely. People think it's overly simple, always try to complicate things. The skill of an artist is to stop painting. Wow. Great comment there. Great comment there, Brandon. You're absolutely right. Okay, what else we got here, folks? I'm going to bring up what I was trying to do there. We gave away the Bitcoin. Now I want to see the biggest single day in Bitcoin history. What does that mean? It's yesterday. You lived through history. You were in Bitcoin yesterday. You lived through history. Pretty impressive. Good on you. Because yesterday was the biggest increase in Bitcoin's 16-year history. Okay, let's look at this. Let's bring it up. Let's see what I mean. See what we're talking about here. Oh, that's way too zoomy. So this is from Alex Thorne over on Twitter. Today, November 11, 2024 was the biggest daily gain in Bitcoin's history. So you can see here, I was looking at these. It's kind of cool. Actually, this isn't like the highest, right? This is the daily move. But I guess it would be based on volume too, because if it went from, I would like to see the percentage wise. This is just in US dollars, but I'd like to see the percentage wise because, I'm pretty sure some days back in 2017, 2013, like there would have been 500% increases, like from $1 to $50 in a day. But this is in terms of dollars. Just as important, but I'd like to see the other chart too. So this is November 11th, 2024, opened at 80,427 and it closed at 88,770. Daily move of 8,343 yesterday. So you're part of history so far. The second one was back in 2021, February the 8th, 2021, a move of 7,500. So about $800 less. And before that, not before that, but after that, rank number 3 is August 8th, 2024. I didn't realize that in August this year, there's that big of a move. I must have been on the golf course or something. But it went up 6,500 from 55 to 61. So there you have it. I played the Thunderstruck song 6 times yesterday. It should have been 8, I guess. No, because we would have hit. I did it every time, right? So yeah, that makes sense. 6 Thunderstrucks yesterday. The biggest day in Bitcoin history. It's wild. Okay, what else did we have here? Let's talk about Saylor. Bitcoin yield. He made some announcements yesterday. Man, there's been a lot of people who have been like really, really horny for MicroStrategy on this channel. And I think that I'm talking about it too much. I think that every time I talk about MicroStrategy going forward, I'm going to have to counter it with something about self-custody. Because in my mind, self-custody is the only option, right? Like MicroStrategy is a good vehicle if you got debt to pay off, if you got money in the old system and in the financial system right now, you don't want to pay fees and taxes on. MicroStrategy makes sense. But for the most part, everybody should be buying Bitcoin and taking it off the exchange, take it into a wallet, setting up a device to sign your transactions, setting up a multi-signature wallet, and then setting up a multi-jurisdictional wallet. That's kind of like the main steps there. And I missed the passphrase there because that's kind of the in-between wallet and multi-signature setup is the passphrase. So let me say that again. You buy the Bitcoin, you take it off the exchange. Obviously, everybody knows that, right? I think at this point. But you put it into a wallet. That could be a wallet on your phone, like a Phoenix wallet, Moon wallet, Blue wallet, any wallet. Then you take it into a hardware device. You take it offline, cold storage. You get a cold card, you get a passport, you get a Jade. And then on top of that, that's kind of like your first steps, right? That's the first part of things here. And then you get into a passphrase, which we're going to be talking about here in about 10 minutes. Passphrase, decoy wallet. You take away your single point of failure. You don't let people know where your Bitcoin is. You got a couple different tricks up your sleeve. From there, you go to multi-signature, which means you got devices in different locations. But you got to be careful with that because you have to know people in different locations. It has to be geographically dispersed. It doesn't make sense to have 3 devices in your house. Somebody just breaks in and gets you 3 devices, they got your Bitcoin. So you have to geographically disperse it, but you have to find people in your life that you trust that you can geographically disperse it with. And then you move to a multi-jurisdictional where you have one wallet in Canada, you have one wallet in Sweden, and you have one wallet in America. So that's kind of like the full cycle of what you should be looking for with your Bitcoin security. So that's I didn't even mean for that to happen today, but that's my cold storage tip. Now I can talk about MicroStrategy. Mikkel says, Jor, have you reached out to Nico and Opti on Simply Bitcoin? For what? Just to say hi? Just to say hi? I don't know. Okay. So let's talk about this MicroStrategy. Now that we can, I like that rule. So Sailor MicroStrategy says this year MicroStrategy treasury operations delivered a Bitcoin yield of 26.4%, providing a net benefit of 49,936 Bitcoin to our shareholders. This is equivalent to 157.5 Bitcoin per day acquired without the operational costs or capital investments typically associated with Bitcoin mining. Oh my God. That's music to my ears, to my soul. Just read that again. Because I mean, it's easy to see numbers and a whole bunch of fancy things going on here. But let's look at this again. This year, MicroStrategy treasury operations delivered a Bitcoin yield of 26.4%, providing a net benefit of 49,936 Bitcoin to our shareholders. This is the equivalent of 157 Bitcoin per day acquired without the operational costs or capital investments typically associated with Bitcoin mining. Pissing on miners. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he is. Peter McCormack says, explain this like I'm 5. Peter McCormack needs to get back into Bitcoin. His new podcast sucks. He was getting like 70,000 views. Like he was a very net positive for Bitcoin. Very net positive to Bitcoin. And he just decided, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to retire on top. Yeah, well, you know what? There's still a whole bunch of work to do here, Peter. But anyways, look at this one. Eric Weiss. MicroStrategy shareholders have 26.4 more Bitcoin per share than they did at the beginning of the year. That's what you need to look at. That's incredible. That's incredible. So what does that mean? It means basically like they are acquiring Bitcoin without diluting shares. That's the net amount, right? So they acquire these Bitcoin through taking on debt, through selling their shares. And if they have to, they issue new shares. But I don't think that they like doing that strategy because that dilutes the shareholders, right? What is MicroStrategy at today? Was it a good start to the day or was it a drop? Holy fuck, 344. I don't know what to say about this anymore. Like, we're getting close to bubble category here. Like in this year, we've gone from, I mean, yeah, it's up 400% this year to date. $275. 400% this year so far. And the bull run hasn't even really begun yet. So, you know, people said, is this a bubble? Is this going to crash? Because that's typically what happens when things go up fast, they come down just as fast. But you have to keep in mind here that it probably will. It probably will crash, but then it'll go up because there's something real there. There's something real there that they're doing with MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. And not only are they earning a 26% yield on Bitcoin, they are going to be the #1 company in the world. Nobody's going to catch MicroStrategy. So is it a bubble? Yeah. Is it going to crash? Yes. Is it going to go up again? No. Yes. It's not just going to look like a blip, come down and keep going. It's going to go up, it's going to come down, and then it's going to go back up. Just like Bitcoin. They've been calling Bitcoin a bubble for 16 years. But the part that they missed there is that there's something real there. And unlike Ponzi schemes, unlike the FTXs, unlike the NVIDIAs, there's actually something here. Jay Burr says, doesn't make sense you don't own the Bitcoin. I mean, that's part of the risk, right? Like that's part of the risk, is that not only is there a one point of failure with MicroStrategy, they could lose the coins, but there's another point of failure there that says the brokerage. You know, like if something happened, let's say in the next, because to me, and you're probably going to agree with me with this, but I don't know. To me, it seems like things are going too good right now. So, but at the same time, it's like somebody emailed me last night. Let me just read this for you because I thought it was pretty cool. So don't let me forget where I was there. We're talking about cyber attacks, but this is from Lan Ray. We talked back in March a little bit through email, but they just sent me an email last night saying, grateful. Greetings, Jor. All the gospel about Bitcoin you've been preaching since the beginning of the year is finally happening. And you mentioned all these things will happen post-summer, and here we are. I watch your YouTube videos every day and always stay positive about what you say and advise. I really can't thank you for all the education daily shared from you. Many thanks, Lan Ray. But it's funny because they're absolutely right. Like this, none of this is really surprising. Everything was expected. It still seems kind of surreal though, honestly. But we've been talking about this stuff on the channel and the people who have been here will attest to that. We talked about Trump. We talked about Trump being into Bitcoin. I was talking about Trump being into Bitcoin before he even mentioned it. Right? And it's like, it still seems too good to be true though. And that's where I was going with the cyber attack. It's like, yes, Trump got in. Nothing has happened yet. There's been no, explosions anywhere or any planes fall out of the sky. You know what I mean? It seems too good right now. MicroStrategy is humming, Bitcoin's humming. And so that's one thing you have to keep in mind here is that if there was a cyber attack, you want to make sure that your assets, you're going to be able to locate them after that happens, right? And if the brokerage account is holding your MicroStrategy shares, who knows? Maybe 5 other people own those shares. With Bitcoin, you can't fudge that. With Bitcoin, you have to be transparent. With Bitcoin, if we had a cyber attack and everything went down, you'd still have that same Bitcoin as soon as you logged into your wallet once things came back on. With your share account, with your stock broker, might not be true. Probably will be. I don't know for sure. But there's a chance that they just kind of lose track of everything. It's a very centralized point of failure there. Bitcoin's not. Bitcoin's very decentralized point of failure, which means that 20,000 people around the world right now have a copy of who owns what in Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ledger, the time chain in Bitcoin. 20,000 people have a copy of that scattered across the world. The brokerage or the banks, they're single points of failure. And if something happened, that information might be gone. Even if you had 100 shares of MicroStrategy, if there's a cyber attack and they all of a sudden lost access to the records, do you own them? So that's the risk there. And everybody needs to understand that there's a risk there. Trade-offs, everything's trade-offs, right? Everything's trade-offs. And that's one thing that's one of the laws of the universe that I really, truly believe in. That, you know, the better something is, it has the equal amount of bad for you, right? MicroStrategy is going up a lot, good, but it has a lot of risk there involved, bad. Everything works that way. Hey, we got Jerry Loves Freedom. One of my new favorite guys on YouTube. Me and Jerry think very similarly. He's in America, I'm in Canada. But we share the same sentiment in a lot of ways. I like listening to Jerry. You should go check out his channel. But what does Jerry say here? I know MicroStrategy is buying 42 billion in Bitcoin over the next 3 years. About 38 million a day on average. Stupid question. Are they actually buying every day, or is it in a different increment? Yeah, no, they wouldn't be buying every day. That's a really good question though, because I mean, who is looking after these trades? That's why I think guys like Howard Lutnick, that's where he comes into play here. There's a lot of people in Bitcoin that we don't know about, but are major players in this side of things. You know, the retail side of things, we see like the CZs at Binance, the Brian Armstrongs at Coinbase, the Kathy Woods at ARK. But behind the scenes, you got NYDIG, you got Howard Lutnick, the Cantor Fitzgerald. You got these very big entities who have been pretty quiet, but they just deal with the big boys. So Saylor calls up Howard Lutnick. They're obviously buddies. Obviously, the New York crowd, the NYDIG, the New York Digital Investment Group, they're all buddies. They've been planning this forever. Saylor's part of that group. So they say, okay, I got a buyer over in Saylor. Saylor wants $1 billion worth of Bitcoin today. And obviously they can't fill that order until they have somebody who's willing to sell $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. But they might phone, you know, Abu Dhabi. They might phone Russia. They might phone somebody in China, Korea, and say Saylor's looking for $1 billion. So they compile all these different amounts. They send it. Saylor might pay, you know, people think that buying in bulk gets you a discount. I think that buying in bulk in Bitcoin actually costs more. And it's a little bit different for Saylor because they have to keep track of their cost base. But at the same time, there's always different stuff going on. There's always stuff happening in terms of price and stuff like that. But no, I don't think, to answer your question here, I don't think it's every day. I think it's whenever they can find a chunk of Bitcoin to buy. But it's just, it's cool to think about it in terms of $38 million a day. It just shows how, you know, big this is going to be. You hear 42 billion and you're like, oh, that's a lot, but like 38 million a day for 3 years, that's a whole nother mind fuck there. Sorry, Mikkel, I missed you here. So I'd love to see you on their show or them on your show. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an awkward, like I'm a very unknown figure in Bitcoin. I wouldn't even call myself a figure really. But, you know, some guys like Bitcoin, what are they? Simply Bitcoin? Guys like that, they've been around for 2 or 3 cycles. So, you know, maybe in 4 years, things will be a little bit differently here. But I mean, I got to put in my time. I have to put in the work. That's what Bitcoin is. That's what represents it, right? And the people who have big channels, the people who hang out at the conferences, they've been in Bitcoin for a few cycles. So the only difference between them and me is time. So I'm in no rush. Everything takes time. It's proof of work. Proof of work. Diego, good morning, my friend. Let's check on the Zap stream here. What's going on over there? Sorry, everybody. Hey, we got a request from Bodie here. Love this. I knew the jukebox would be a good idea. I knew the people would get behind it. Everybody loves playing their songs. This is going to be a lot of fun. So we got Bodie, 21,000 sats, 2.1K. And let's see what, I'm not going to share it because I don't want to ruin the surprise. Okay. Thank you, Bodie. So Bodie is the new jukebox holder. Next Tuesday, that he's going to get his song played, unless, of course, somebody bumps that. So keep in mind, you can do that on Zapstream. You can do that on Fountain. I called out Fountain yesterday. I don't know if it worked or not, but I called them out. On Fountain, you can send a boost. You can send it on Zapstream with a request. You can send it on Noster if you want to be a little bit more private. Or you can just send sats to the wall of Satoshi and just say in the description what song you want. Every Tuesday, we're going to start the show with a different song. And just like a jukebox, you're going to be able to request and bump other people. So the current highest, we got Bodie at 2,100 sats. And we got My Pat the Fire coming in second. So, yeah, I mean, MicroStrategy, thumbs up. I mean, I don't know. People were like, is there going to be a part 3 MicroStrategy? Maybe I'll put today's as part 3. But it's like, what else do you want me to say? Like, yeah, buy some. Keep in mind, though, like, and this is something I have been saying, and I will attest to this myself. But, you know, don't ever take your Bitcoin and buy MicroStrategy. Don't ever sell your Bitcoin and buy MicroStrategy. Any amount you have in Bitcoin, you know, especially if it's non-KYC Bitcoin, but just keep it. That's what you want. That's your golden goose. That's what you're going to have in your family for the next 100 years, 200 years. It's Bitcoin. It's not MicroStrategy. Keep like, you know, this is kind of my longer term, my plan anyways. I'm going to keep like 5. I know what MicroStrategy shares are going to be worth one day. And I'm probably going to keep like, you know, 5. And depending on if they keep doing stock splits or if they take the Berkshire Hathaway route where, you know, one share is going to be worth $50,000. I don't know what they're going to do. But I'm definitely going to keep a portion of my MicroStrategy shares forever. Just like my Bitcoin. But anytime you got money out of the system, that's going into Bitcoin. Any money you have in the system, that goes to MicroStrategy. Pretty simple rule. Okay, you know what? I think I had another video to watch here, but it doesn't really tie in that great, to be honest with you. So I'm going to look at some comments here, and then we're going to move over to the second part of the show. I can't keep doing 2-hour shows here every day. Can't. Could. But won't. Okay, let's check on the Zap stream here. What's going on over there? My Pat the Fire says, with a passphrase as a multi-sig wallet? Kinda. The passphrase reduces your single point of failure. That's what it does. We're going to talk about the passphrase. I got my cold card here. We got it loaded up. I'm going to talk about the passphrase. I'm going to talk about decoy wallets. I'm going to talk about how to set up a passphrase, some things to watch out for with the passphrase. And this is part number 3 today. So each of these videos are going to be about 10, 15 minutes long, and it's going to be like an 8-part series. And you just watch these, take them in, write some stuff down. You learn one thing from these videos that could be the difference between you having your Bitcoin in 50 years and not. So passphrase is the focus today. Noah says I had to run with Peter's people yesterday. Yeah. This Ahsoka says, are you allowed to elaborate? Excuse me. And Noah said, I asked Peter for help in avoiding British banks and transact directly in Bitcoin. And he said no. Shitty guy. That's one thing, you know, no matter, I think this is a good lesson for everybody, honestly. And I mean, it's different because I've never been there before. I've never walked in Peter's shoes. But, you know, no matter how big you get, no matter how big you think you are, You should always make time for people. Always. And I know it's hard, given where he is, given how many requests you would get every day, but just find a way. You have to find a way, even if you have to take out other parts of your life. It's like, people with that kind of influence and that kind of like clout, they with such a small gesture, such a small thing to them could make a huge difference to somebody else. Huge. And that's why I've always been such a big fan of Trump, because that's how he treats people. And it's not my opinion. If you listen to stories from 20 years ago, 30 years ago in New York City, helping people, such a small gesture for a guy like Trump changes the direction of somebody's life. And I think that if you have that kind of influence, if you're in that position, you should absolutely be looking for that. It's what life's all about. So I was kind of disappointed to hear that Peter said no to Noah, to willing to help her. So you guys can hold me to that. No matter what happens here with Bitcoin, with this channel, it's always got to be you got to help each other out. All right, what else we got here? Tess is absolutely right. This is what I was talking about. Brennan says we're so jaded from being held underwater by media, banks, government winning, and being correct feels like a scam. That's absolutely right. It's so sad, but it's so true. Buck 52,000. This is a great comment here. What if my wife calls me a single point of failure? What am I going to do if you died in regards to Bitcoin? So we're going to be talking about inheritance stuff. I have kind of like a plan for everybody and something I want to reach out to extend to you and offer. But I think we're going to do that probably in the next couple of weeks on the multi-generational wealth. But something to consider, right? It's something to consider. What if you died tomorrow? What would happen to your Bitcoin? Would your family know what to do with it? Or would you waste all the time you spent getting Bitcoin, all of that time you spent at your job, converting that to Bitcoin, all the time you spent learning about Bitcoin, to have the conviction for when it goes down and up, you hold? How much time? All that's going to be wasted if you don't do this properly. If you procrastinate, that's what episode 1 in multi-generational wealth talked about. But like you have to take this stuff seriously, and you can't be procrastinating. You have to, at a bare minimum, just have a piece of paper to give to them. And so, again, I don't like talking about this stuff too much on the show, but this is a great looking setup here. I'm a big believer in this, except I sold my Tesla last week at the wrong time, traded in for MicroStrategy. But I mean, both are good. I just feel like MicroStrategy is going to go faster than Tesla this cycle, and I can always buy Tesla back at some point. Jay, good morning, Jay, and another big shout out to the 3.7% our audience of women. 3.7%. I gotta make a clip and put that on. Tag Odell in it. For female audience. Okay. What else we got here? Take a couple more questions, then we're gonna shut her down. This is a good point from Utah State fan. Pretty simple, just don't die. But here's the thing. Maybe I'll end with this today. Mikhail said, I like when you're on the Rajat show. Yeah, me and Rajat are going to be we're forming something together here. Don't worry about it. We'll be back. Just don't die. So let me leave you with something here. This is something I was thinking about last night. If you couldn't tell, I spend way too much time thinking. But this is what I was thinking about last night. Because you know how dogs, everybody knows, like somebody said the major flaw with dogs is that they die too early. But we know that. We know that, depending on what kind of dog you have, you're probably going to have 6 good years with it, 10 good years with it, maybe 12 if you're lucky. We know that when we get it. And I really think that that's why people see dogs differently, because we know our time with them is limited. We know that. With humans, you know, you talk to your brother, you talk to your best friend, we have these inherent biases in our head that suggest that, you know, my brother's 30. He's probably going to be around for another 50 years. There's no rush for me to hang out with him, to call him. But if you knew, like if everybody walked around with a little sign on their head, little countdown, going to Noah's simulation here, let's say that this is all predetermined, and I knew that Captain Codeman, I walked past him and he said, you know, 2 days left. Would you treat him differently than if it said 2 years? Probably. But here's the thing, we don't know. We don't have that ability. So your inherent biases might think that, you know, your dad should be around for another 10 years. He should be, maybe 15, maybe 20. He should be. But we don't know for sure. He could be gone next week. Same with you. You know, I'm 35. I probably have about 450 years left here. But I could also be gone next week. We don't know. And so going back to the dogs, that's why I think that everybody sees dogs in such a different lens than humans, than everything else, because we know that their time is less than everybody else. We know that we have less time with them than we do. But do we? That's just what we think. Yeah, there was a movie about that premise. I remember seeing that. I remember seeing people walking around with the thing on their head. But just to kind of explain what that means in our, you know, setup here within Bitcoin and within our inheritance stuff, like, we don't know when that day is going to be. It'd be nice if we did, but we don't. So just always assume that, like, you know, this is going to be, it's dark, but just assume that, like, this is probably going to be the last time I talk to my mom, or this is the last time I'm going to leave this house. If you just assume that, then you have things in place in case it does happen. If you go under the opinion that, you know, they're going to be around here for 20 years just because that's the average age, the universe does not give a fuck what the average age of anybody is. Things happen like that. So don't be in a position where you waste your time, your energy, everything to waste because you were too lazy. You assumed that you were going to be here for a little while longer or a long time longer. Right? It's important stuff. It's important stuff. So actually, this is a good point. Let's throw this out there, because you know what? We had like 700 people watch the show yesterday live, and then I reposted it, and there was like 850 people who watched the second time through. So I want to throw this out there. If you are looking for property in the UK, in London, shoot me a message. If you're a Bitcoiner, you want to pay in Bitcoin, you want to get a new place in London. Let's say you're an OG Bitcoiner. You got 50 Bitcoin. You're looking for something to do with it. You don't want to go through the banks. You don't want to cash it in. You just want to buy a house. Well, I got a person for you. I got a house for you. So save some fees, save some time, save some bullshit, probably get a good discount on it, and reach out. Shoot me an email. I'll put you in touch with Noah, or just get a hold of her. If you know how to get a hold of her, just get a hold of her. But that's my promotion for the group here. You want a place in London? You got some extra Bitcoin you don't know what to do with? You don't want to have to cash it back out through the fiat system? It's a good way to do it. As Bodhi said, maybe someone here knows a source in the UK to help our friend on the sale of a property. Yeah, and I mean, if you don't want it, if you got friends in the UK who are Bitcoiners and you think that they might be interested in buying a new, what are they called? Flat? Fucking stupid word, but a new flat in London. Okay, so we're going to keep doing this every day. I mentioned that there was 800 people who watched the show last night on the replay. And so what I've been doing with that is I basically just like some days when, like today, when I have to edit it anyways, I'm going to edit it, shorten it up a bit, repost it, and do it as like a premiere at 6 o'clock. So if you're somebody who can't make the live show in the morning, I'm going to start doing another premiere, it's called, where it plays live and people can chat back and forth. And I've been in the chat a couple times. It's fun. I want to do that for people who can't show up here in the morning. But anyways, I highly encourage you to join us. Right now, we're going to jump over there right now to the Multi-Generational Wealth series. This is episode 3. We talked about inheritance stuff a little bit. We talked about procrastination. Don't leave any crumbs lying around because you never know what's going to happen. And then last week, we talked about going all in on Bitcoin, earning Bitcoin, ways to do it, protecting it, taking your time, your energy, whatever you're doing for a job, and focusing on Bitcoin. That was episode 2. And today's episode 3, we're going to be talking about passphrases and decoy wallets. So again, it's going to be about 10, 15 minutes long. I encourage you, if you want to be part of it, if you want to watch it, you want to be in the chat, sign up as I think it's shared everywhere. So no, there shouldn't be any issues for the journeyman, for the Living the Future community, or anybody else. It should just be good to go here. So there you go. Again, this multi-generational course is not for like new Bitcoiners. We're not talking about how to buy Bitcoin. We're not talking about how to sell Bitcoin or send Bitcoin. We're talking about how to make sure you have your Bitcoin in 50 years. And I pretty much spent an hour here explaining, why you should be thinking about this stuff, why you should be investing in finding better ways to protect your Bitcoin. And this is an absolute no-brainer. So another shout out, there was about 5 or 6 people who joined the community yesterday. I'm going to catch up today in terms of getting people added into the Signal chat, into the Discord channel, but just be patient. Okay. So if you want to join us for part 2 of the show today, multi-generational wealth, you can just go to Living the Future. It's right at the top there. Join, $5 a month, use that tier, and try it out for 7 days. Watch the first 3. If you think it sucks, cancel it. And if you get a couple months in and you're like, this community sucks, this guy's an idiot, I will 100% refund you every cent in Bitcoin. Just say, yeah, I didn't like it. Because I'm quite confident there's a lot of value in there for a very low price. This isn't about ripping people off. This is about, helping. That's what the channel exists for. So thanks everybody once again for being here today. And I encourage you, look at this. We got Taft Van Tilburg. Hello from New York, found you from Rajat. Cheers. Hug the man tight. Yeah, hug your friends, hug your family, hug yourself. Just understand that the only thing more scarce than Bitcoin is time. And we never know. Unlike Bitcoin, we know how much Bitcoin is going to be here in a year from now. We don't know if we're going to be here. So join us. Take this stuff seriously. This course is going to change your whole perspective. Even if you learn one thing from this course, it's going to cost you $10 for 2 months. It's laughable, right? Like this information is literally priceless, and people have such like a barrier because they don't like being sold to. But like I'm telling you, take this shit seriously. So we'll see you over there. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the Tuesday. And if you want to get your song for the next Tuesday, you know how to do it. Okay. Jason. Okay, join us on the second part. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.